Okay, let's see if this is gonna work. There he is. Invite to co-host. Let's see if we can get that working. And then I'm gonna go and grab some tweets to put up here. All right, so Dagobert, you should have an invite to be a co-host, in which case you'll be able to speak and invite people up and share stuff to the nest up top and all those things. So let me know if you're not seeing that. You may, if you're not on mobile, maybe I should have mentioned that. I think you can only listen to spaces on the web, but you, in order to like interact and all that stuff. I'm actually surprised it's Dagobert's first time. That's crazy. Dun, dun. All right, let's try that again. Invite to co-host. Let's see if that works. Okay. All right. We're just getting set up here, getting everybody on board. Welcome. We'll get started in a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out with us and for your patience. I think it's Dagobert's first time, so we're getting him all set up on Spaces. All right, there we go. Requested. Oh, is that working? Nope. Invite to co-host. Send invite. Hey.
Okay, seems to be working.
Nice. All righty, there we go.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Awesome. It feels like I got this new mic set up and it sounds like it's not happening.
It sounds good.
Oh, good. The audio is just coming through I think it's duplicating. It's coming through in a different way, but that's okay. We will get it worked out. Hopefully I'm not, doubling up on my sound.
No, it's fine.
All right. Well, why don't we dive in and get started? We got some people here. I imagine they are all here for you. So thanks for doing this chat with me. These have been great though. So I'm Darren. I call these Craftsman Creative Workshops because I get on these spaces all the time and people are just like talking theory and talking philosophy around being a creator.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's great and all, but how do I actually do this? And what do I need to do today and tomorrow and next week and next month in order to grow stuff? So I'm really excited for this chat with Dagobert. And we were reminiscing in our DMs a little bit a few minutes ago, and like back when you had, I don't know, 267 followers or something like that, you messaged me and sent me
even less.
sent me a request to chat, and I was like, oh, I love this. This is the best part about Twitter. You can chat with people and get to know them and learn about what other people are doing and what's working. And I think you reached out to me about like what's
I
working.
think we met we met on Indie Hackers. We met on Indie Hackers before even Twitter, I think.
That's what it
You
was.
know,
Yeah.
I think
Holy cow.
yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't been super active on there in the last little while. So, what we're going to talk about today is how to build an audience using Twitter. And you have just been a perfect person to reach out to and to have this conversation with because you've really done it. It was so
Yeah.
fun. Initially, I'll admit it was a little disheartening because I saw you eclipse my following number within a few months of our chat, and then man, you're just like been on an explosive rise the last few months. So it's been so great to see. And but what else is great is that you talk a lot about how Twitter has helped you grow your business. And that was a strategic decision that you made. So, why don't you give us a little bit of intro for those who may not know you? I'm sure everybody's here who's here are already following you and know
Yeah.
you, but like, give us the brief, biography of like who you are and what you do and why, and then we'll go into like what made you choose Twitter.
A software engineer, for most of my time, my professional time. I don't say career because I was mostly a consultant, but I guess you could say a career. Um, and so I was mostly focused on that. I also dabbled in a few things like design, managing projects, mostly coding, and then I decided to build was like very bored job. Although it was the best job I could like note, great team, great, and almost no meetings, like very perfect kind of job. But even that, after so many time working with other people, I kind of like was bored of that, and I wanted to try something new. And I realized, okay, if even the best job doesn't fulfill me, I need to do something of my own. So I decided to build a startup. So at first, with my wife, we decided to build a startup. We were very excited, we had many ideas, and then, as we expected, we thought we would be millionaires after a couple of years. I guess like many people, but that was just like this hope and dream of like make some because of me. But then and it was it's gonna be hard. So then there was a year because it was making basically selling an app to build logos. It's like we were a month because we were on marketing. And at that time, okay, clearly it's not because of the product. To customers, they tell me they love it. Clearly the problem is marketing. Like it took me a while, it took me a couple of years, but then I finally understood that. But then at first I thought, okay, this is not good for me because I'm not good at marketing. Like I thought this is a good product, but I'm not the right guy for it. And my wife either, because she's not a marketer, neither. So I was kind of like, and eventually I had to choose between either he didn't want or keep trying to do marketing anyway. And so, I kept trying, and eventually I figured out a way with Twitter to make.
That's amazing. So it's necessity is something that helps sometimes when you're in business and you're confronted with like the
Yeah,
reality of, oh man, this in order for this to work, people need to know about it, and people need to visit our website and make the decision to become customers and things like that. And so it's so cool. So you were breaking up a little bit there. I don't know if it was breaking up for anybody else. Maybe give me a
oh,
thumbs up if anyone else was experiencing that, because I do want to make sure we tweak it if we need to. But let's kind of dive in. And for those of you here, just a quick plug. Thank you all for being here. Today is actually my book launch. And so you can see up at the top here, I released the book today. And it's all about being a creative professional. It's about how to go from a creator to a business owner. And so I invite you to check that out as we kind of chat through. And then in about 20 minutes or so after we've gone back and forth on a few questions and topics, we'll open it up for Q&A. And so if you've got questions for Dago or for myself or about the creative process or about marketing or Twitter, this is a great place to do that. So we definitely want to invite you to stick around. We'll do some Q&A in a little bit. So what's interesting is I think you were one of the many inspirations for me to start focusing more on Twitter and to really double
Yeah,
down. And what that meant for me was not just like do twice as much, but it was more a process of elimination. So don't spend all the time on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and blog and everywhere else, but really just focus on one single
yeah,
channel until it worked. And that to me is the most important part of the whole statement is until it worked. So I think too many creators
yeah,
give up after a month or a week or 6 weeks or 2 months or 3 months or even a year of quasi consistent or inconsistent effort, and they write it off like, oh, it didn't work. And I'm sitting here 8 months in from when I started really taking Twitter seriously. I've added about 800 or so followers in that time,
yeah.
and I'm still a really small channel. Like I have book launch today, and I think I've sold 5 to 10 copies, which is amazing. It's
That's good.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Like it makes me smile ear to ear. But man, I sat here going, what if I had 10,000? What if I had 20,000? What would
yeah, of
my book
course.
launch
Yeah,
be? And it really motivates me to keep going. And like I said, you were one of the people that I was following and going, wow, this is actually really important and very beneficial and a really viable path to growing a creative business. So
yeah.
talk to us a little bit about like how did you get started? What worked early on? What didn't work early on? And again, like why Twitter over, SEO or a blog or a newsletter or other social media channels?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I did by, I wanted to do marketing and I thought I could just spend money on Google Ads and that will do the marketing for me. And I think that's the dream when you're like not into marketing is to think you can just put money in and get money out and that's the marketing you do and that's easy. So I tried that. I think I spent like, I mean, no, I did spend $600 on Google Ads and I got like 600 visits to my site, but zero sales. So that was humbling, realizing there was so much work to do to convince people more than just like put money on Google. Then I also sponsored newsletters and it failed too. Uh, so then I started thinking, okay, I need to reach people like organically. I mean, it's not like I thought about it. It's like, I'm not going to keep wasting. I have no choice. So then I started being active on indie hackers. I started finding kind of a good voice there, interacting with other people, also writing some posts. I got a couple times on top of the front page, so it got me some momentum of like, writing and connecting with people, which got me a few sales to my startup. And then eventually, when I had to or go back to a job, I went in on like just trying every marketing channel I could find. So so I was on Indie Hackers. I also tried Reddit, I tried Product Hunt discussion boards, and I tried Twitter. And the funny thing with Twitter is initially, honestly, I just was there to spam my shit. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna put my link everywhere. I wasn't there to like bring value. I mean, people tell you need to bring value, but when you're starting out, you don't want to bring value. You want people to click on your link. Like it's very selfish, because you're just desperate. You want money, you want customers, you want some success. So I was basically just searching for people saying, what are you working on today? Or like, hey, indie makers, what are you building? And I would always find an excuse to talk about my product. So that was basically my first steps into Twitter. That was like 10 or 11 months ago. And It wasn't very successful, obviously, but it got me some. It was better than nothing because I had nothing going on before that almost, except indie hackers. And quickly I saw the potential of Twitter because I had some traffic and it was better quality than I thought because I assumed Twitter would be low quality traffic because I always heard and believed if you have social media traffic, it's going to be low quality because people are like, busy looking at a feed and like they're just like checking you out in like a couple of seconds and then they come back, like they close the browser or anything. So I didn't have hopes for that. But then I realized, wow, I mean, it's similar quality than indie hackers. Like it's good quality traffic. So I kept going and eventually I got a few wins. Like I got one tweet, one of these, dumb promotion tweets got viral. I mean, viral for me at the time, that was like 60 likes, and I got two sales and 1,000 people to my website. So that was amazing to me. And then one thing led to another, and I realized, okay, Twitter. The good thing about Twitter compared to, for example, indie hackers, is that it's an open system. So like, if I do indie hackers, I'm gonna get top of the front page, and if I can do that, then I'm at the ceiling. And so basically, the ceiling for indie hackers is you write a good post and you get 3,000 views and you get maybe 500 people to your website, and that's it. But Twitter, the ceiling is kind of infinite. So that's what convinced me to focus on Twitter instead. Once I saw that it worked, is that if you just stay focused on that, and you keep growing in followers, it's just going to keep getting better and better in terms of reach. So you basically don't have really a ceiling, and you can just keep going and get more and more traffic to your site and more awareness, and all that comes with it.
That's so, so cool. So, a few things that stood out to me as you were talking. First of all, was that um, you were really paying attention to what was working and what wasn't. You were analyzing, you were looking at, these feedback loops, you
Yeah,
were checking and observing like what traffic is coming from where, how high quality is it? Because like you said, 600 clicks is a lot of clicks, but if it doesn't convert to sales, you could have 6,000 or 6 million and it's not going to grow your business, just going to burn you out and spend all your money and you're going to be really
yeah,
bad. So it's not just the number of clicks. It's like you're going one or two steps even further to how is this affecting my business? Is this actually driving new customers, new sales? And one thing that I have talked to people about as I work with creators and entrepreneurs on their startups and their businesses is that marketing is not sales. They're two different things. And a lot of times people avoid the marketing because they don't want to be salesy. They don't want to come across as spamming people or only talking about themselves and their products and their business. But in reality, marketing is storytelling. It's helping people see what you believe in, what your values are, why interacting with you is beneficial to them. It's a way to share those values and to give value to people.
right,
And I think too many avoid it because they just are worried that they're going to be seen a certain way or that it's going to hurt their engagement or their interaction. But the best thing you can do is really to remove or separate the two. Realize that marketing is not sales, they're two separate things. So, those are two things that really stood out. And I've realized the same thing in my own experience. Just as I started working on this book back in August, I very consciously used it strategically as a way to grow an audience while simultaneously kind of building in public. I called it writing in public,
yeah.
a book
No, yeah, I saw
for
that.
creators. So it was a very strategic decision. And every week I would sit down Monday morning and I would look at all of the data that came through from that week. How many times did I share a tweet? How many times were like, what were my impressions? What kind of comments and engagement and retweets was I getting? And every week I was adjusting course and writing differently. And then I would look at the comments and see, oh, wow, this this post or this tweet, which was literally just an announcement that I wrote another chapter of the book, so like Josh Spector and Justin Moore
Yeah.
and Arvid and people were retweeting it out of the blue and adding it to their newsletters with unprovoked. And that was a signal
Oh
to me
wow.
that like the marketing, the storytelling that I was doing was working. But I think a big part of that that a lot of people miss is that it does take this analytical side of like taking, even if it's 10 or 20 minutes a week, to go in and just look at, okay, here's the work I did in marketing my business last week. What worked? And the secret, as I'm sure you would, attest to, is all you have to do is do more of what works and
Yeah,
less of
yeah,
what doesn't. That's it. That's the secret to success, whether it's marketing or sales or finances or whatever. Um, so, like, what were some of the early signals for you that you were on the right track? And how did you kind of pivot into the type of content that you really are kind of known for here on Twitter?
yeah. So yeah, as you said, like I started measuring, but it was kind of easy because I didn't have that much traffic. So I would just be looking at, where's the person coming from? And over time, I saw I had less and less sales from indie hackers, I mean, relatively, and more from Twitter. And because of that growth potential of Twitter that I talked about, I thought I'm just going to focus on Twitter. And so, so I try to keep it simple. Like I have tons of event tracking on my website, but I notice, the simpler, the better sometimes. So it's good to measure, but it's good to also, I mean, it's good to measure everything, but then it's good to not overthink and think of like, how can I optimize this tiny part of the funnel? Maybe it's gonna help me, double my sales, and it's like so exciting, but then you do it and nothing changes. So I think it's good to also keep like, kind of like, to always take a step back on that and not put too much hope into like tiny optimizations. I mean, not saying they cannot work, like they can definitely can, but like, just trying to not make people think that I mean, it's scientific, but you also have to go also with your feelings somehow, like with your instincts. So it's like, yeah, measure things and be clear on that. For example, with Twitter, like I mean, as soon as I knew people came from my Twitter, I was like, okay, people come from my Twitter, they buy because of Twitter, so it means it's a good channel. Now let's do it, but let's not try to, because I wasted so much time before, overthinking. So I think that's why I wanted to make that point. But now about the content I'm known for now. So it's funny, people right now always mention the memes, and that's actually the most interesting part is the memes because I started doing memes. Oh yeah, and by the way, I create all of these memes because a lot of people say, "Where do you find them?" I'm like, "Dude, I create them because I didn't think I had to make it clear." But yeah, it's a lot of work to do that. But the reason I'm saying this is because I did it for fun initially. I really did it for fun. That was a way to have fun. So I had fun making memes. It wasn't a strategy. And initially, it wasn't bringing me much success. I was just making a few memes. And the reason I kept doing it is because I was having fun with a few of my followers who were my indie friends. And we were just joking around about, the struggles of building a startup. And, I like to make jokes. So for me, it was a way to take the edge off every day. Just like make a meme, make a fun meme, and, that's it. But like for the first months where I did one every day, I remember like none of them got the traction or success of my other tweets, which is more like a story about what I learned on my journey. So these are the two types of content I do now, my kind of like the story of my startup and the audience. And so, yeah, without trying to get into too much complexity, uh, yeah, the thing about the story tweets is that at first when I started, I tried it to sound like a Twitter guru. Like I was just like seeing all these people on Twitter be successful with like one-liners, like they just have like one sentence and it sounds amazing and everybody likes it. And I was like, wow, I need to tweet like that. So I tried to come up with amazing sounding sentence and I would tweet that and nobody because probably because it's stupid in a way and like I think it's very subtle to make a successful small sentence. You have to be very you have to know a lot to make a good small tweet. Actually, you cannot just bullshit it. Like you have to really own it, and so every word is perfect and then it can be successful. At least that's my belief now. But so I started with that and it wasn't successful. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to stop pretending to be this guy who knows everything. and I'm just going to talk about my experience. So instead of trying to make a big sentence that teaches people everything, I was like, let's just start with I. Like, I experienced this today. Like, this happened to me. Way simpler, way more humility, and way more authentic. And that's when I started getting some traction. And then, I played with formatting, and eventually I found my own style of like, writing kind of like a story tweet that I call now, which is basically about 5 to 6 lines separated by spaces and usually with an emoji at the end of each line. It's kind of like a short story with like intro, and then, you set up the context, then you talk about the problem and then the solution, and then, the emotional journey from ups and downs and finding a solution and learning something. So I try to share the learnings that I have with my startup that way. And going back now full circle to the time of creating the memes, at that time, these story tweets were way more effective. I would be having like 500 likes on many of these tweets back when I had like 1,000 followers. So that was big. It was getting viral. And with my memes, it was like 30 or 50, like it was, or like 100, but like way less than the other ones. And also, it's not just that, it's also engagement and followers. Like people, when you make a meme, they just laugh at the image, but they keep scrolling. They don't click on your profile as much. They're not curious about you. They don't really, they just have fun and scroll down and keep scrolling. But when you write a story that's more personal, then they're curious. And that's, I think, the core of my, quote unquote success on Twitter. It's actually the story tweets, because when I do a story tweet, I talk about my startup, but I don't actually say what my startup is. I just talk about this is what I went through with my startup. So this makes for like a universal lesson that people can learn from. And so it makes them incredibly curious. Some of my biggest tweets like this, it got me 1,600 clicks to my profile. So, some of my most successful tweets talking about one of my experiences like this, it's 1,000 people to my website. It's 300 followers. So compared to memes, it's way better in terms of conversion. And now to just
Man,
finish this on the meme, yeah.
there's so much there's so much wisdom in there, Dago.
Yeah, I'm
Like
sorry, I have too much to
I
say.
hope people are taking notes right now. I want to let people know, like, we're going to open it up for Q&A in just a minute. So if you've got a question for either of us, go ahead and raise your hand here in the space, and we'll get to you in just a minute. But I kind of want to summarize what I took away from your strategy there,
Yeah.
because one of the best things that you and I can give people that are listening is to come away with like a plan to go and do something similar. Like if your goal is to drive more traffic to your business, to grow awareness for your brand, you've done it, and like you just laid out such a great strategy in there. So it starts with like this outcome that you were after, which is I need more high quality traffic to my site. You tried Indie Hackers, you tried Google Ads, you tried
Yeah.
sponsorships, it wasn't working. So you didn't just give up and say marketing is not for me or I suck at marketing. You kept going until you found something. And then in there you said that you created a meme every day for a month. And like that's a huge commitment, where I see a lot of creators will
Yeah.
start on something, myself included. So this isn't a judgment thing. I include myself in this, where I'll start on something and give it 3 or 5 days, and if it doesn't deliver or perform, then it's like, oh, that didn't work. So I really committed. It
Mm.
was a perfect timing when I started writing my book. It was right when Jay Klaus started this Tweet 100 challenge.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is perfect, because I knew I've written a book before. I knew it was going to take, a few months. And I'm like, great, 100 days, that's totally enough time to write a book. So I'm just going to say something every day about the book writing process, whether it's
Yeah.
publishing a new chapter, or today I worked on a landing page, or today I hired an editor, whatever it might be. And I knew that build in public worked because I'd followed people like yourself and others who were doing it and sharing their experiences. Yourself, Daniel Vassallo, Arvid Kahl,
Yeah.
Kevin Chung. Like, there's a lot of people who have done this successfully. So I knew it worked. And it was a perfect time to be like, all right, I'm going to commit to 100 days. And I mean, if you look, it was my pinned tweet up until today, but I think I only got to like day 73, because by the
Yeah.
time I hit day 60, the book was done and I was moving on, and I went and produced a movie, and I wasn't tweeting every day.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like
you
there's
had
all
got what you needed out of the commitment, so it was good. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. But in that time, I got 200 new followers to my email list for a
Yeah.
brand new list that I started. I sold over what are we at? $1,250 in pre-sales of the book. And what people don't usually see when people talk about book launches and stuff, just the process of building in public landed me a consulting gig that's paying me
Yeah.
many thousands of dollars a month
Awesome.
and coaching clients. And so just the process of building in public, showing up every day, talking about something consistently, let people see that like, oh, this is somebody who does this type of thing. And if I want this kind of value or this kind of outcome, this person can help me with it. But it only happens when you show up every day consistently for weeks,
Yeah.
months at a time, where people can start trusting you and going, "Oh, this person's here to stay." They every time I pop
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
Twitter, they're here, they're talking about book writing, or they're talking about creative economy, or they're talking about logos, or they're talking about building in public or whatever. So all of a sudden you become like this key person of influence for the
Yeah.
people that are following you. And that's
Yeah.
when things like really start to kick off and you start getting this leverage and everything starts to compound and compound. And this is me speaking as someone with like 1,500, 1,600 followers here. I still have a six-figure business as a solo creator because of all this kind of work that I do. So it doesn't only happen when you reach 10,000 or 20,000 followers. Like you
Well,
can do this.
it's even the opposite. Like I feel I feel vulnerable sharing that, but I'm not making nearly that amount. Like right now, I'm like making 3K a month,
Hmm.
and so it's really about, and it's not because my following is not good. It's because I have like my product is probably not the best one for my following right now. And it's not an issue with the product, but more with the market. So it's something else. But what I wanted to say is that there's really something about, I mean, it's really about connecting with people and the right people. So it's like if you can connect with people, on a deep way, it's enough. Like you don't need millions of followers to be successful. Actually, the more followers you have, like usually the less successful you are in business. Like I noticed that. Like some people I used to really look up to when I started out. Now I started, meeting them, and I see they're like struggling and they're broke, and I was like, oh shit, I had no idea. Um, so there's this thing about what matters is the connections that you build, like the what can I say, like the trust and the bond that you create with people, so that when they need you, they really can work with you. And then there's going to be, of course, like the product, the price of your product, and how much it's needed. But yeah, it doesn't have to be. I mean, you have tons of accounts your size who are making a killing because it's enough. Like it's. I mean, if you, for example, like if I was doing service, like if I was selling, if tomorrow I start selling, marketing services or like meme making services,
Hmm.
very expensive, and I do that, I could probably make way more money. So it's really about. So yeah, it depends on your product, but you don't need a big audience to make money necessarily.
Yeah. So true. All right, we've got an awesome group of people here. I'd love to see who's got questions about, building in public or growing your business on Twitter. Anything that you've got questions about, go ahead and just raise your hand and we'll be able to bring you up and open your mic and we can start jamming on some of that. And in the meantime, as people are thinking about what questions they have, I think it's really important for people to realize that it's this idea of consistent action really, really, really is powerful, and it's about showing up every day consistently, giving value before any transaction happens.
Yeah,
um, it's all that mindset stuff around building in public and showing up consistently on a social media site really comes before any of the outcomes happen. So all right, we've got Axel here. you got a question for us? Go ahead and unmute yourself. And what do you got?
Hi everyone. Thanks for this. Like, there's so much value. I loved it. Thank you, Dago. Thank you, Darren. My question was about when you build in public, how do you choose what to share, and how do you choose how you share things? Do you just share what you're doing? Do you share something specific, like maybe your struggles, or how you deal with things, or is there like a certain approach you take?
Great question.
Yeah. So should we both answer it?
I think so.
Or
Yeah. And I will
okay.
say really quickly, I try to say this every time and I almost forgot this time, but like when Q&As happen, when you're at an event or on a space like this, it's such a great time to open your notebook and take notes and write down the questions that people ask, because that will give you prompts for future content. Whether
Oh
you're a
shit, yeah.
writer, whether you're doing whether you're tweeting, whatever it is that you are doing, these questions can inspire your content for the next week or month if you're paying attention. So let's have you
Yeah, you're
start though.
right.
How do you answer that question, Dago?
Well, wait, I have to write it down now. So wait, let me see. So the question was, how
I
do
love it.
you um how do you decide what to share when building in public? So for me, so thank you, Axel, first and foremost. Uh, and yeah, for me, after trying many things, what I do is, I mean, there needs to be either a lesson that I learned or a positive emotion, or no, actually not even positive, like a strong emotion. Like for example, if something amazing happens, like I get like tons of sales on the same day or something like that, I would be excited to share it because like it's exciting. So I know it will resonate with people. Or if I have a very shitty day, I might also share it. I mean, if there's a reason for it, like something that people can resonate with, I will share it. Although, you should avoid sharing something that's just flat out depressing, but more like something that's hard to go through and you're looking for hope, like that can be inspiring too. And then the most common thing I share is it's mostly like a lesson I learned. So like I'm always going to share a story about what I've experienced. So it can be like something I was building, something I'm working on, something I'm, usually it's pretty philosophical of like the thing about being a founder, but it can apply to anything you build really. The key is to have a problem and then a solution. So like people can learn from it. Like if you just share something like flat, like, oh, okay, I did this today, I mean, well, that's nice. But if you can transform that into today, I had this problem, then I found this solution, and now this gives me hope for XYZ, then it's like 10 times more powerful because like you turn something that was mundane into a story, and then now people actually can have emotion when they read it. Like they're not just like happy for you, they're also like learning something maybe about themselves, about how they would be in the same situation. They resonate with it strongly. So yeah, my number one thing I share and I advise to share with Build in Public is like something that you went through that got you a learning experience, or like a fun experience, or an excitement, or a hard moment to go through, and then how you actually what you got out of it, and what you learn, so that can actually help other people learn something too.
Thank you. That was super. That was super clear. So just to summarize, it's basically you have some sort of event you want to share, and you turn into a story with a problem, a solution, and some sort of
Yeah,
resolution of
yeah,
or
exactly. Like,
something you've learned. I think that was missing from. Okay. I think that's something I was missing from the approach I was taking. I didn't understand this slight
yeah,
this this point of view. But yeah, thank you. That was super nice.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dago. I want to add on. I think
thank you.
there's one of the important things is realizing that like your audience wants something from you. That's why they're following you. It may be entertainment, it may be inspiration, it may be that you have a different opinion or a different worldview, but as you build your audience, whether you have 40 or 150 or 5,000 followers, your audience there's a big overlap among those group of people. And so you got to always think about what is in it for them, because that's what they're thinking about. What's in it for me?
Yeah, exactly.
An example I can share is like if you're on Instagram, for example, and you're following a chef and all they do is post the images of the food they make. Well, that's great. Maybe you like looking at juicy chicken and awesome pizza and burgers and stuff like that. But I guarantee that they would grow a lot faster if they posted a picture and the recipe, because all of a sudden now they're providing value to someone who is following them because they want to be like them. They want to be able to cook food and that looks the same and tastes the same and et cetera, et cetera. So apply that to Twitter. If you just say, today I wrote 100 pages, or 100 pages, that's a lot. Today I wrote 1,000 words in my book. Great. You'll probably get some people who give you a thumbs up and like your tweet and et cetera, et cetera. But if you talk about, here's the lesson I learned, here's how to overcome writer's block, here's something I tried today because I was stuck, here's a cool trick that I learned in the software that I used to write my book, then all of a sudden you're building in public in the sense that you're sharing updates about what you're doing and what you're working on, but you're also giving value to your audience. One of the most, I'll call it quasi-viral or semi-viral things that I've shared in the last few months as I've been taking Twitter more seriously is I shared an entire thread about how someone could make more money off me the next time I hire them. I was producing a movie. I was talking with the caterer, the chef that was providing food every day for us.
I remember
And I
that
literally
one.
had a conversation with them. Yeah, I had a conversation with him about, well, here's how you can make more money off me next time. And that thread went viral because all of a sudden I was sharing a worldview. I was sharing an opinion and a belief and values that was beneficial to my audience, which is made up of creators and freelancers and contractors and entrepreneurs and founders who are all trying to make money, who are all trying to grow their businesses. So an entire thread on how to make more money, that's very valuable, which is why I think it got shared so many times and why so many people engaged with it, because I was thinking first and foremost about how do I take this story and create a valuable thing for people to consume on Twitter. So it's taking that one extra step of what does my audience care about? What do they value? What do they want from me? And giving it to them. The more you do that, the more valuable you become for them, and that's how you can start growing your business, by saying, if you like this thread, go check out my newsletter. If you like this thread, check out my logo business. If you like this thread, go check out my book, which I could say right now. If you like this space, check out the book that's pinned
Yeah.
on the top of this thing, right? I can only do that, and people are going to click on it because I created this space where people can get value out of taking their time and giving us their attention, right? So the more that you can think about providing value, I think the better off you're going to be. Sorry, that was a little bit of a soapbox spiel there.
Yeah, but that's perfect. Like that's really the perfect, you know, uh, that's what you say. Like this, taking that last step that a lot of people are not taking when they build in public. It's converting the here's what I did today and going actually one extra step and being like, here's what you can learn from my journey today. And that changes everything in terms of like how much people can relate and engage with it.
Yep. So true. All right. Who's got another question? Axel, thank you. That was a great question, and we got some good stuff there. There we go. We got Joe coming up.
Does anyone have a question?
Hey, Joe, welcome.
Your presence, your online presence. What are your thoughts on using your real name versus your kind of like the name of your business? Do you know what I mean?
Such a good question. Yeah, such
Okay,
a
yeah.
good question. I think Dago and I are both writing it down because we want to write
Yeah,
about it later.
it's like, that's what I was doing. Yeah, so I'm gonna start. So thank you, Joe, if it's your real name, because it seemed like it's like
It
personal
is.
for you.
Well, it's the kind of
So
like English name of
okay,
the,
awesome.
yeah, of the real name.
No, okay, good. I was like, maybe it's just like a fake name. So, just okay. Thanks for asking that. Um, yeah, you can do either. Like, you can build a good account with a brand with like, just the name of the brand and like a logo and a picture, or you can do it with your own face and your own name. I mean, now my experience is like, and I always take this example and like, would you rather follow Apple or Steve Jobs? So, usually people say Steve Jobs because, like, I mean, who gives a shit about product updates? You just want to hear from the visionary, because that's who inspires you. And I think that's basically it. Like, both can be valuable, but if you want to truly connect with people and connect, like, create an emotional bond with them and make them really care about what you're doing, which is, the most effective way for them to start becoming fans of your product, for, them to speak about it, word of mouth, trust you, buy your product. I feel like there's nothing better than using your face, your name, um, and being the most authentic you can be about who you are and what your aspirations are. Because like people, they want to relate to someone, they want to relate to someone and to identify to like, oh, this guy or this person is like me, and not like this brand. It's way harder to do with a brand. So you can definitely do
Yeah,
it
I
with
see.
either. It's just that it's easier, I think, you know, when you do it with a personal account. Now, there might be some things, that come into play, like maybe it's a type of content you don't want to be associated with personally. There are some valid reasons for that. But if you don't have anything like that, it's worth putting yourself out there, I'd say.
Okay, well, it's not really a secret, but I kind of like the anonymity. But it wouldn't be an
Okay.
issue to go out with my name, but it's just I'm more kind of like an introvert and stay in the background. That's why.
No, yeah, I understand. Like it's well, it also depends. Like maybe, what helped me, for example, is for a long time I had like an account on Twitter that was more like family and like people I knew from real life. And then, I stopped using it for years. And then I kind of like started over with a new account. And now it was dedicated to like my startup, my projects and all. And it was easier to, to be myself without mixing up with like personal stuff, politics, all these topics that are very, hard to mix up. So, I don't know if it's your case, but I was thinking maybe if that's the case, that's easier to start with a fresh account if you have some, some worries about that.
Yeah, that's another thought that yeah, I don't want to like on a business account. I don't want to share any political views.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to piss off anyone. It's about the neutral business. So yeah, that's also why I would tend toward kind of like anonym
Yeah.
business
No, I hear
account
that.
compared to my name.
To go
Yeah.
back to earlier in the conversation, one thing to think
Yeah.
about,
Go
Joe,
ahead.
is what's the outcome that you care about? Are you looking to grow a personal brand? Are you looking to grow a business? Are you looking to get more traffic? And then really optimizing what your strategy is on Twitter for that outcome. Because what I think or what Dago thinks or what anyone else thinks might not be right for you and your business. I tend to agree with Dago. I think people want to follow people more than they want to follow businesses. And if you're going to have a business account, you should also have a personal account where you can talk about building the business. And that's going to drive the people who want to go and check out the business over there. But you're going to be able to get a lot broader following, I think, from a personal account than a business account. And two people who have done this really well, in my opinion, are Sahil Lavingia, who's the CEO of Gumroad. For a long time, he ran the Gumroad social Twitter account. And the other one is Justin Moore. His account is Justin Moore T Fam, and then his business is Creator Wizard. So he's constantly boosting the Creator Wizard account on his personal account. But he's building up both because he wants the brand to have value, to have a big following. Because who knows? Maybe he wants to sell it someday. Maybe he just wants to get more awareness for his brand. And his personal account is bigger at the moment, so he's constantly able to, signal boost his business. So if you're going to do a business account, I strongly recommend having both because there's a ton of benefit to be able to talk about your business and building it and then pointing people to that business if they're interested. So great question. Thank you. We've probably got time for one or two more. So we've got Swati, I think. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce your name. Why don't you unmute yourself, ask your question, and see where we go from there.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for inviting me to this speaker. And my question to you is that I'm on Instagram and I'm an MUA and I'm a model too. But Twitter was supposed to be just fun for me. It was, yes, I have a personal brand. I'm an entrepreneur. But Twitter was supposed to be fun, and I'm just posting random tweets. But I'm not getting any likes or like I don't have any family or like these personal spaces have a lot of people who are following them and they have a lot of DMs for me. So, how to actually create a great Twitter platform, not just for my work, but also Swati Grover as a brand?
That's a great question. I'm going to give a short answer, and the short answer is don't post random tweets. Find one thing that you want people to come to you for. If you're McDonald's, people come to you for cheap food, and if you're Sizzler, they come to you for a buffet of food, and if you're Ruth's Chris, they come to you for really expensive steaks. So none of those have all three, right? McDonald's doesn't have a buffet or high expensive steaks and vice versa. So what do you want to be known for? And what kind of audience do you want to create here? And who do you want to spend time with? That's the other thing to think about is an audience is great, but not if they are a ton of people that you would never want to talk to or hang out with in real life, So you really want to think about who do you want to spend time with, and then what do they value, and then really focusing in your tweets on giving that value consistently instead of just having random tweets every day or once a week or once a month.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for answering the question. Thank you.
Yeah. And add one thing about the technical part about to get likes, because you just said that, how to
I think you muted yourself, buddy.
Yeah, I muted myself. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. I was saying, in the end, I want to reply about the likes, because we all want to get likes. Like, even if we want to bring value, we also want to get likes. So there's something to understand about Twitter on a technical aspect is, imagine the algorithm, okay? Try to think about when you open the feed, what you see first. And Twitter is going to show you first of people you engage with. Okay, this is what you show you tweets of people you have sent DMs to, people you commented on, people you liked in the past, people like that. Okay, that's the first thing you see. So how do you, on the opposite side, make it so that your tweets are the first thing? So, well, you have to engage with them first. Like, you basically have to start engaging with other people as a way, technical happen is because they're gonna probably engage back, because like if you value to their own tweets by replying, eventually they're gonna reply to you, or you're gonna start building a relationship with them. And so Twitter is gonna start showing your content first in their feed. That's how you're gonna get the clicks. If you do that with like a bunch of like you really care about, like you really resonate with, and you get into the habit of interacting with a bunch of people regularly, eventually all of your tweets, you're going to get some likes right away, and they're going to get a chance of getting seen by more people. So that's more of like how and then maybe they can get viral. Like how the Twitter app
Hopefully,
shows your tweets. Engagement.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
So smart. So
Yes, so
unfortunately, I see we got 2 other questions, but I have to wrap up because I have a call in 5 more minutes. But really, I want to just say thank you to Dago and thank you to everybody who was here in the space with us. My
do you
DMs
think I
are
can
open, so
continue,
if you've got
or is that
questions, feel
weird?
free to shoot them my way. Well, I think if I end it, then it ends the space. And so what you could do is start a new space on your account. Just go to the spaces and hit plus and like Q&A with Dago. You can continue. I'm really sorry to cut you off. I should have given us more than an hour to chat today, but we could also do a round 2 at some point.
So I won't do a new space,
and answer some more
you
questions.
can send DMs. You can send DMs. Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you all for being here, for your questions, your feedback, your thumbs up and your hearts and everything. Go follow Dago if you're not already. I'll invite you to follow me. I've got a new book out today specifically written for creators to help them grow their businesses into 6-figure, sustainable, resilient businesses. So you can just do what you love for a living for the rest of your life. How great does that sound? So if you just go over to my profile, you can see links there to go check out the book. You can even read it for free. It's on my blog there. So go check that out. Give us both a follow. And, thanks again for everybody being here. Really appreciate you showing up and giving us your time and attention. Hit us in the DMs with your questions, and excited to chat more.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Dago.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
See ya.